Hello. If, like me, you are a Bricks user, but one thing that you miss from Elementor, if you've used Elementor before, is how easy it was to actually, I should say Elementor Pro, because I think we need to have the Pro since it's mostly in the editor that we're going to do that. But one thing we are missing is how easy it was to create menus inside of Elementor. For example, in this case here, I have a menu with underline when I mouse over it, and we have drop downs which change background colors. And of course, I can change that to other things, like, for example, if I wanted instead of underline, I could have, I don't know, the background change. I can have different animations for that. I can have also I think it's the framed that gives you the border all around and so on. So it was really easy to do that in Elementor, not that easy in Bricks. But today I'm going to show you something that I think is really cool. Makes the menus similar to what we had to do, what we're used to in Elementor, and it's called Mortar Menu. As someone pointed out, a little bit pun here, bricks need mortar, so Mortar Menu by WP Clevel is a solution for you. So what can that do? As you can see, you can have sliding menus. So these are more advanced menus, but you can also have really simple menu, by the way, that I'm going to show you after. But these are examples of page menu where you can click and it moves from one page to the other. Not the page here, of course, but we are talking really about the menu. You can have multiple levels. You have multiple level here if you want to have them on the side instead of page. The page changes, like in this case here. We can have full screen menu, where it takes the entire screen when you click on it, the little hamburger icon by default. You can have tab menus, and you can create mega menus with that really easily and so on. Of course, you can also build off canvas and simple menus as well. So let me give you an example here. I have a copy of website that I created not long ago. Right, so here's my bricks page, and you see my menu here. So I have a top bar, forget about that one. We have a section menu here. Inside of that, I have three sections. The first one is for the social icons here, coming from frames. And I have the off canvas menu that is not visible right now. This is for my mobile menu. More on that later on. In fact, that's one of the drawbacks of Mortar Menu. It's not that good for mobiles, so you need to create two menus, one for desktop, one for mobile. But besides that, pretty easy to use. So as you can see, I have inserted a horizontal menu here. And inside of that, we have many different settings. More on that later on. Instead of that, we have an item wrapper. And this is pretty cool because we have two ways to use Mortar Menu. We can create the elements directly inside of bricks, a little bit like the nav nested element that is native with bricks. Or we can also use the menu that comes with WordPress. And that's what I'm doing here in this particular case. As you can see, in the source, we have the default, which is the elements that we saw here that we see in the structure panel. We can create a query loop if you want to loop through different type of elements. And you have the WordPress menu. You just need after that to select the menu in that place. And now it uses the menu. In my particular case, I needed to do that because I'm using WPML. It's a bilingual site, so I need to have a switcher. And it's a lot easier to do that than to add it manually here because if you add it manually, what you will most likely have to do is always point to the home page. While when you use the WPML1, if you are on the blog page, for example, you click on English or French, it's going to bring you to the same page of the other language. So not to the home page necessarily. So that's why I prefer to use that one. But doing that with the menu wasn't that easy But using it with the WordPress built-in menu makes it really easy. And that's basically what you need to do. Now, of course, if and only if you want to use the default, which is the built-in menu, the nested menu if you prefer, then of course you'll need to add elements inside of your menu. And this is where you can really easily build things. So I'm going to show you, I'm using Advanced Themer here, by the way, for the layout and for the tools that I have here. But if I move down to the Mortar menu section, you see you have a childless menu item, a parent menu item, and these are exactly what I have inside of my menu. After that, you have the different types of menu that you can create. So you can create an horizontal menu. This is exactly what I have right now, and I'm going to show you more on that later on. Notice that it's in French, by the way. It shows you that these are my real elements. Didn't translate them. So we have horizontal menu, we have vertical menu, we have off canvas menus, and I'm going to show you one after that. We have page off canvas menu, so two types of canvas menu. We have a drop-down menu, we have a full screen menu. We have a duck menu. This is pretty cool for mobile applications or sites. And we have a tab menu. So I'm going to probably show them to you a little bit down in that video. But mostly you will choose the type of menu and then you will add elements to it using the childless or the parent. In other words, when you have a menu that doesn't have a submenu, it's a childless item. So sorry about that. I'm going to translate that to English. But you see, you have that menu. This menu doesn't have any submenu as well. So about us. And this menu here now is a drop down. So when you insert a drop down in the Mortar menu section, let me just close that. Here we go. So when we have the parent menu item, it gives you something like that. The parent item, and then you have the, underneath that, the submenu, it will add that for you, and then the other element. And if you want to have more than one level, you just add a submenu inside of the submenu. So that's pretty cool. In my case, just simple menu. So we have here these menu that we have there. So pretty easy to add. Now, if I go back to my top level element here, my horizontal mortar menu, this is where we have the settings to style it. So we can change the HTML tag. We can put an area label here. By default, it's menu, but you can change that to something else. We can highlight the current menu item. So of course, I'm inside the header right now, but if I was inside the home page, you see that I have my little pointer here. So that pointer will simply be visible underneath home. So if I just do it something like that, maybe test hit here to show you what it looks like. So I have my little pointer on the current page because of that option here. Now the top level item here, I can change the layout, vertical, horizontal. Of course, you have a horizontal and a vertical menu, so don't necessarily need to change that. We have the align item to the left, center, right, or justify. So right now, as you can see, it's aligned to the right. I can, of course, change that if I wanted to. If I align that to the left, it takes a little while to refresh on Bricks, but you see how it will look like. Of course, I can center it. And if I justify it, it will take the entire width of the container, in this case, my block element. As you can see, so it will change the space. And as you can see, my contact here, it goes on all the way to the left because inside of it, it's aligned to the left. So this is what you have. And the inside of it, where was I? Sorry about that. Normal color, pointer, underline, grow. It's not some menu. Here it is. Top level item. I can justify to the start, middle, center, or auto. So you see here, it's at the start, in fact. So if I put that middle, still take the entire width, but now my item is in the middle of its parent block, in fact. Okay, so you can play with that. Of course, I'm going to align that to the right in my case. Back to where it was. Of course, you have the typography settings that you can change. Put that everything in caps in my case. Different other settings if you want. You have the normal color, the hover color, and the active color. So of course, in my case, these are all the same color using ACSS. But if you want to have a different color when you mouse over it, you can certainly do so. For example, if I want to switch to primary color, then when I mouse over, not only there's an underline, but we also change the color of the text itself, which is not what I want in this particular case. A little bit hard to read. So let's go back to white or text light. Didn't I change that one? Here we go. Okay. Normal background color. So this is for the text. This is for the background color. So in my case, I don't want the color of the background to change when I over it, for example. But if I wanted to, we can certainly do so. If I want to change, for example, here, when we mouse over it, we change the background color. So this is all things that you can do. Then you can decide between the gap between the elements, the size of the icon, if you have icon, which is not my case. You can put a border, you can put some padding. So a lot of control over your elements. Now the pointer is my little underline when I mouse over it. So right now I'm an underline, a thickness of 2 pixels. And I have a little animation of grow, so that's why it grows like that. You have different animation, fade, drop in, and so on. And of course, you can change that to something else. Like, for example, you can change a background instead. So when I mouse over it, instead of having that little pointer, I'm going to have a change of background. And you see we have our little animations there as well. The shutter in this case. We have other animations depending on what type of layout we have. Sorry. Frame, triangle, overline, underline. So frame, I think it's the border all around. If you want that, this is certainly something that you can do, as you can see with the animation corner in this particular case, but we can change that. You can also just change the, of course, no animation at all, or the text itself, just like we can do in Elementor. So if I change that, we have an animation of zoom in. So when I mouse over it, the text zooms in instead of changing color or having a pointer. So this is pretty cool. We have a lot of different features that we can use here. A lot easier to do as well. We can have an entrance animation. This is for the entire menu, not just the pointer like we just saw. So if I wanted to have, I don't know, a pulse animation, not sure we can see them in Bricks. I think we can't. So let's preview that on the page itself. You see, I had a little animation here. A rubber band, let's say, for example. So you see that little animation when when the menu appears, right? So you have different animation that you have there that you can use. I'm not going to use any. So this is for the top level. Then we have the sub item level. So we have a sub menu here. So again, we have the typography, the color, and so on, the icon size, everything there, but for the sub menu this time. And we have a borderline as well. So this is for the elements inside of the sub menu. So when I mouse over it, for example, so each individual element. You also have sub menu, which is for the entire block. So for example, if I put a border, a borderline, let's say style here, solid, I don't know. Let's be crazy here. You see that the border is for the entire element, each element separately. But if I go in the sub menu, then this is for the entire block, the entire white block that you see, or submenu that drops down. So you can change the Z index, the offsite. You can put an animation. You can show and click instead of over. You can show intent on over. You can have a click toggle. So the entire menu or just the little caret here that we have. So depending on what you want to do, for example, if you want the service to be clickable to go to a certain page, I would advise that you keep it to the default, which is the same as the submenu indicator, by the way. But if you don't, like in this case, it's a fake page just for some menu items, then I would suggest you use the entire menu. So that way we can click on that and it doesn't go to a different page. But when we, I shouldn't say click, but when we tab and using keyboard navigation, because it is keyboard navigation accessible, instead of toggling only that little caret, it will work also if we toggle the service word or link. If you put that to default or submenu indicator, you will need to toggle the, let me just do that. If I do a tab key, as you can see, we will tab to each element of the submenu, but then it goes to the caret or the drop down here. So if I try to hit the space key or the enter key on servers, nothing happens because it's not a link. So I really need to go inside the next one, which is the caret. And if I hit enter, then it opens, close. And then I can tab to go inside that submenu. And when I'm at the last item, if I tab again, I go to the next one and it closes automatically. So it is keyboard accessible. Now, if I do that for the entire menu instead, then I will be able to simply go, let me tab, go here and hit the enter key here, and it will toggle the menu as well, not only just the caret. So it can be good, especially like I said, if you don't have a link exactly on that one. You can set the background color for the entire submenu, the box shadow, and so on. Then you have the normal submenu, the width for the normal submenu. So let's say, for example, in this particular case, as you can see, I have a specific width. This is on 2 lines. If I want to change that and have it, let's say, on just 1 line, I can change the width here to be, I don't know, 100. No, not 100. Well, yeah, let's go 100 rem. Whoops. Okay. EM should be probably better. This is taking the one from the menu. Anyway, you see the point here. Let's say 20 would be probably better. So I can change the width of the drop down here. You have also the mega submenu. Okay, so I have a normal submenu in my case, but you can use a mega submenu instead. And to do that, you just go to the submenu and you activate the mega toggle here. And that becomes a mega submenu. And then you can use it like any other element. You can add blocks, you can add titles to it, you can have images, anything you want, just like a regular block. And that will act as a sub mega menu. Okay, so if you toggle that on, then the width that you have here will be meaningful for the mega submenu. Whether you want to have the full width, just the width of the, I don't know, yeah, just the width of the element, just the width of the column or the container, or a custom width if you want to. Of course, would not work in my case because I don't have a mega menu. The submenu indicator is my little caret here, so you can use that as well. So if I come here, you see that I'm using the chevron. The default one is, I think, the caret, which is smaller and a plain triangle. You can change the size of it, the thickness of it. So you can play as you want. And of course, you can say none, but not necessarily a good idea. And you can use your own custom icon as well. Again, the top level here using that submenu indicator. So this is pretty much what you can do here. As you can see, I'm using the horizontal menu for my desktop, but when I go to the mobile, I'm hiding that menu and I'm using the other one, which is the off canvas instead. So that way, when I open that, you see I have a nice off canvas that I can use on desktop, on tablet in this case, on mobile, or well, this case is mobile lightscape, not tablet, but I could have used that on tablet as well if I wanted to. So you see it's two different menu, and that's one of the reasons why it's a good idea in this particular case to use the WordPress menu. That way you don't have to change it, because of course if you build your own menu two times, if you need to make changes, you need to make changes in two different places. So good and bad about that. But if you use the submenu, the WordPress menu, then you don't necessarily need to do that. All right. So again, same thing. Here I always have menu, by the way, because I had created them manually first. And then I switched to the WordPress menu because of WPML, like I said previously, the change of language. So I didn't delete them. They're simply there, hidden. And at some point I would probably delete them because I don't need them if I'm using the WordPress menu. But it's really up to you. And as you can see, I've put the logo on the top. So it works the same way, but this time it's an off-canvas menu. So that means that if I click on it, it opens underneath it. And since it's an off-canvas menu, I think I have a couple of more elements here. The toggle button, which is my menu button here. I can change the icon, I can change the text, I can change the color, and so on. We have the embigger icon here that I can change. We have the off-canvas settings here as well. Background, the alignment, which was on the left, I could have put that on the right, and so on and so forth. So I won't go through all the settings, but you even have an animation if you want to. And the overlay, what happens with the overlay here, you can change the color, you can change the opacity if you don't want to see the background element, and so on. So this is a regular offline, off-canvas menu. And of course, as you saw, we can also have the page of canvas. So instead of opening under, it would move that to the left and replace it with the elements here underneath it. To that, you can move everything, you can duplicate everything. It's like a normal element, or if you prefer, take a look at the nested menu inside of Bricks. Pretty much the same thing. So what does it add to the regular menu? A lot more flexibility with off-canvas menus and things like that, first of all, but also a lot more flexibility with animation. If you want to have underline, sorry, hope you don't hear the dog barking, but if you want to have underline, borders, things like that, makes it really easy to do. So Mortar menu is right now between $19 and $239. Of course, that depends really on what you want to do, because you can buy for two sites. You can buy annually, by the way, for two sites. That's what's starting at 19. 100 site or unlimited sites. You can buy annual license or lifetime license is still available. So I'm going to put a link to that in the at the bottom of this video. This is an affiliate link, by the way, so it will help me help produce videos if you use it. But if you're on the channel for some time, you know that I only promote tools that I believe in, that I use, and rarely use affiliate links anyway. So you're sure that it's not the reason why I'm talking about this tool. It's really because I use it and I love it. I use it on all my Bricks website now, even for simple menus, as you saw. So hope that is useful. If you have any questions, comments, you can put them in the comments below, and have a great day. Thank you.